Connection is still possible even after you've messed up. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm Andy Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Hey, how are you? I'm going to do a video recording of this, so if you want to see me record this, jump over to YouTube. I'm going to start doing it. This recording is going to be like the lighting, everything is not dialed in yet, but we just created a studio for me, a podcast studio, an office outside in our backyard, and we made it out of a tough shed. You'll have to go jump over the video. It's going to look better soon, but right now I am still in my clothes for my Pilates workout. I'm going to tie up my hair and we're going to get started because today I decided I was working from my shed office, is what I call it. We bought one of those tough sheds. And if you keep it under 200 square feet, you don't have to permit it. And I have all of my kids but one living at home right now, which is so fun. And I want them to be able to live at home. But we do not have enough space in our 830 square foot house that we are choosing to live in because I love where we are. And we bought it years ago thinking it would just be a part-time summer place that we'd get away from the crazy heat in Phoenix, or a winter place to come ski, because there's a couple ski resorts by this. And then we decided during COVID, we're just going to move here because we were kind of done with all the heat. So we've been here for 3 years. Anyway, the YouTube channel, which I have not done anything with, but we will start doing lots of stuff on it, is Connect Method Parenting. If you want to check out the video version of this and be entertained by my shenanigans here as I try to do an audio/video recording. This is the first one. So yes, the summer has come and the weather is fantastic and the shed is done and it's not put together. If I could move my camera easily, I'd show you all of the stuff that's on the ground. It's such a mess. And the contractors put in the wrong color carpet and the wrong style. It's really weird. And we were trying to be okay with it. I am okay with it, except for it's this light color and I have the most adorable sheepadoodle that I want to let in. And she came in today and she has already stained the carpet. So we're going to have them put it back in. So you'd see my stained carpet that's 1 day old and all of the things that are on the ground that will eventually decorate the walls. Okay, should we get started? That was a very long introduction of me rambling. But today we're going to talk about how parental compassion affects child regulation. How is that for a mouthful? Brain, behavior, connection. We're mapping out the brain to the behavior, the connection obviously between that, and new research on how parental self-compassion affects child regulation. You guys ready? Ready to dial in? So grab a beverage, grab a notepad. For me, I'm really trying to step away from Dr. Pepper. It has been my beverage of choice. The Diet Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream. Oh my goodness. I got drinking one a day and pretty soon I could feel myself crashing. So I'm not doing that anymore. So I've got my water with some electrolytes and stuff in it. So I'm ready to go. So grab whatever you want. Let's get off to the races because we have an important topic to talk about today. So let's talk about what your inner critic says about your parenting. So here's what happened last week that sparked this whole episode. My 16-year-old daughter, who's basically juggling more responsibilities than your average Fortune CEO right now. Not really, but it does for her. It's an equal caseload right now that she's got. She is doing a ton. So she was preparing for an advanced drama audition that's happening the audition's happening this year for a class she wants to be in next year. So we just got back from, a couple months ago, we got back from going on a 6-month adventure. It was so amazing. Maybe one of these days I'll put together the video so you can get a glimpse of all the things that we did. It was so fun. But anyway, so we got back from that and she did online school and stayed enrolled in the high school that she was already in. And now that she's coming back and going to be on campus, she's setting up all of her classes. So she had to do some essays and some application stuff to get into student council. She wanted to get into advanced drama. She wanted to do dance 3, so many things. And so she was doing this audition for advanced drama for next year, which was really important for her. She was in the school musical, not this school year, but the school year before we left, and loved it and got to know kids that were in drama and dance and vocal stuff. And so she wants to be in that world, which I love. So she was practicing for it and she was stressed because a lot of her friends are in it and she wants to be in with them. And she was messing up and she was second guessing. She didn't know she had picked the right monologues to do. And after a while of this, she crumpled and her shoulders slumped and she sighed and she started to mutter some really harsh things to herself. She's like, that was terrible. Why can't I get this right? Is this the right monologue? I'm never going to make it. Everyone else is going to be in advanced drama and I'm going to be the only one that's not going to make it. And I froze because I recognized that voice. Do you guys have a voice like that? That voice was my primary voice years ago. It still creeps in from time to time. I'm very familiar with it. I try to stay familiar with it so I can make sure I catch it. But that was my voice. That was the one I used 24/7. It used to play all of the time in my head. And especially as I transitioned from a very successful student, and then I got the career I wanted. I graduated in nursing. I worked at a hospital. It was very successful. And I thought, I can conquer anything. So I became a parent, and parenting was so tough on me. Part of it was my own doing. I had 6 kids in 8 years. Just by nature, that's a challenging situation. I was not prepared to handle the kids. I thought I was going to be prepared, but I was more perfectionistic and type A than I thought I would be, more of a control freak than I realized, I believe, even though I'm the oldest of 7. And I had a pretty good sense for what it was going to be like to have littles around, but I wasn't prepared for them to be my responsibility and for me to take on their behavior as a reflection of my ability as a parent. So anyway, she's doing this audition. Well, she's practicing for the audition. And I hear her start to criticize herself, and my brain hears that muttering, and I'm like, that's my voice. Oh my gosh, I get that. And I started thinking about how so many parents that I've worked with over the years have this critical inner voice. And we have this almost this, although we might be slightly different in what our top playlist is, what our greatest hits are, we have similar tracks. There's this universal parenting critics greatest hits. And some of them that I have found that seem to be found more often than not with parents are, I'm such a terrible parent. Why can't I get this right by now? I should have gotten this right by now. Other parents don't struggle this way. I must be screwing them up for life. Why can't my kids, do better? I must be messing something up. This internal playlist isn't just self-judgy fluff. It's the work of what psychologists call the negativity bias, a built-in feature of our brain's operating system that zeroes in on perceived threats and mistakes. And according to a review that I found, to make this all official and very sciencey, by Braumeister, I'm probably totally messing up the pronunciation there, but it was in 2001. They said negative events and feedback weigh more heavily in our memory of emotions than positive ones, a phenomenon that helped humans survive, but makes modern life full of unnecessarily high stakes on things that don't matter. So we bring it into parenting, and modern parenting feels unnecessarily high stakes because we have these inherited drives, these instincts from our prehistoric ancestors to spot danger quickly, like a rustling in the bushes that might be a saber-toothed tiger, and we need it to survive. But today, those threats look more like your kids refusing to wear socks in winter, and your brain still panics, like the stakes are life and death. So back to my daughter. So I was sitting next to her, trying really hard to just come alongside, is what I call it, to not trigger her. And I didn't want to make it a big moment so she would, put up her defenses. So I was trying to be cool and just come alongside and apply everything I learned. And I asked her, if your best friend, who her best friend is in advanced drama already, she automatically gets to be in it this year. I said, if your best friend who's already in advanced drama and knows all the ropes and knows what you need to do, if she was helping you, what would she say to you if you messed up right now? And my daughter thought about it and she said, I think she would just say, try again, or you've got this, or that wasn't that terrible. Boom, I said, okay, that's it. That's the insight we're looking for. So what you are saying, I said to her, is that your best friend would be kind to you. So why are you saying all of those negative things to yourself when you're practicing alone? You are your own coach, which is the role your best friend would be playing in this situation. What if you gave yourself feedback that you would find helpful from your friend? You gave it to yourself and her face shifted and she got it. It's this lightning bolt moment of clarity. And it made me wonder, what would it look like if we all became our own compassionate best friend / coaches? What would that look like? And why would we even want that? Why not be critical and beat ourselves up? This is at the heart of Connect Method parenting, because when you beat yourself up after having a hard parenting moment, you're acting as both the disapproving critic, the disapproving friend, the friend that you don't have that would be so mean and so rude to you, worst friend in the world, and the discouraged parent. So you're beating yourself up from every angle. And here's the kicker. Your inner voice, the way you're speaking to yourself, the way that is impacting your emotional well-being and how your nervous system is feeling, whether it's calm or activated, that inner voice is going to start sending out a signal to your kids. They're going to pick up on it. Most likely those mirror neurons are going to say, oh, guess this is what we're doing. Mom's laying this down. I'm going to picking it up, right? Your inner voice becomes your child's emotional climate. It's like the emotional thermostat of your home. And I say that not to have you be more critical with yourself, but to have the awareness of, oh, I might want to do something about this. It would be in everyone's best interest if I don't say unkind things to myself when I mess up, that I'm mining for gold. I'm finding the growth in my mess ups, in my errors. I do have a whole podcast episode on that. I can't remember what I called it. Maybe I'll link to it in the show notes. This is a good one. And it's all about finding the opportunities, the growth, the learning in our mess ups. And Dr. Kristen Neff, she was a pioneer of self-compassion research at the University of Texas, has found through multiple studies that parents who extend kindness to themselves, 1, have lower parenting stress, and who doesn't want that? 2, are emotionally balanced and warm in their interactions with themselves and their kids, which again, huge plus. 3, model emotional regulation more effectively for their children to learn that. And you know what's even more compelling was a 2018 study that was published in the Journal of Child and Family Studies, and they found that self-compassionate parents had children with better emotional regulation. And that's what we want. We don't want to eliminate negative emotions. We just want better emotional regulation, more emotional maturity, so that we can handle the things that we're up against, and so that our kids can handle the things that they're up against. Because if they can handle that, they can do anything with their life. But when we're beating ourselves up, when we're being critical and we're not getting the learning out of it, our nervous system is activated and we're going to stay in that fight or flight place. So yes, self-compassion doesn't just feel better, and it does feel so much better. So try it out. It helps your children's brain regulate better too. And who doesn't want that? We all want that for our kids. So let's talk about neural pathways and why rewiring neural pathways takes time. So when we constantly think things like, I'm failing at this, or I should be better by now, we strengthen neural pathways tied to shame and stress. And neuroscientist Donald Hebb explained this in what we now know as Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together, wire together. How many times have we heard that? It seems like it's starting to be part of the dialogue, part of the understanding we have as a society, is that neurons that fire together, wire together. Meaning the more you do something, the more it strengthens that thing. The more it becomes habitual, the stronger the impulse to do it is, because neurons that fire together, wire together, strengthening the neural pathways. So the more we practice self-critical thinking, the more our brain defaults to it. Like a shortcut we didn't mean to build. We build the bridge to get there faster, and we didn't mean to. But the good news is that you can rewire the same way. You can create new neural pathways, more supportive pathways with intention and repetition. So we're just going to use the same thing to create what we want. Sometimes I say, let's brainwash ourselves to believe what we want to believe, to show up the way we want to believe, because that's what we've been doing unintentionally. We've been brainwashing ourselves by focusing on all of the things that aren't working. So by starting by asking ourselves these things, we're going to write your inner script that builds you up. So you're going to start by asking, what would the most compassionate friend, version of myself, if you're working with me, what would Andy say? So what would the most compassionate, loving, kind person in the world say to me right now after I messed up? Would they say, you're blowing it again? Maybe parenting just isn't your thing. Maybe you should just quit. No, they'd say, this is a hard moment. You're doing your best. Connection is still possible even after you've messed up. Or what your child needs is your presence, not your perfections. Those are perfection, I should say. Those are things I would say. You got this. You're doing your best. Let's learn and grow from this because then there's never a mess up. I've done this myself and have asked so many parents to keep a wins list on their phone. And if you don't have this, pull out your phone right now, open up your notes app and put at the top really big letters, wins list. Wins list. You want to keep track of all of the things that worked every day because your brain is keeping a losing list every day if you're not doing a wins list. And that lose list is going to be longer and stronger. And those neurons are going to keep firing together and wiring together. And that's going to become your default. So keep a win list. So instead of reciting, that's the word, instead of reciting all of our parenting missteps at night, you record the moments of patience and laughter and connection. This doesn't mean you discount the things or you ignore the things that aren't working, but you are looking more at the things that worked, and then you're going to be able to learn from the things that didn't. Some parents I've worked with pick an empowering sentence, a new intentional thought, and say it regularly to themselves, and they find evidence for it. One of my amazing clients shared that one of their statements, one of their thoughts that really helped them was, my presence matters more than my performance. It's so good. We need to remember that. And another parent I worked with who was parenting a neurodivergent child solo, which is just bravo to her. She was doing such a good job. She got in the habit of writing down, again, on her win list, evidence every night of her growth, celebrating how she was learning to tune into her child's cues, how she was being patient when big eruptions of emotion happened. And these tiny practices, they're going to rewire your brain. That's what they've done with so many clients that I've worked with. They literally will rewire your brain. And your children, just as their children did, will be the beneficiaries of this. Yeah, your children will benefit from this. So how to start? I'm going to give you a tiny assignment. If you choose to do this, it's going to up-level your life. So please, here's the steps for your tiny assignment today. 1, notice your inner critic this week. Don't argue with it. Just notice it. Just observe it. 2, write down one situation where your inner voice turned harsh and critical. 3, what I want you to do next is write down the supportive version. So the compassionate friend, the compassionate coach's response. So you're going to write down what your brain default said with the critical version. And then you're going to say, okay, let's do the opposite of that. What would the opposite version of that be? Someone who is kind and compassionate and understanding. 4, put it somewhere visible. Phone lock screen, mirror, fridge, sticky note. Write it on your hand and pen. What the compassionate friend would have said, what your compassionate highest version of yourself would have said, what you think I would say to you. Write that down on your mirror, on a sticky pad, on your lock screen, somewhere, on an alarm. That's one of my favorite things to do is on an alarm. I'd put it in the description of the alarm, the sentence, and it would come up every hour. It's really cool. 5, practice reading it, saying it when you need it, out loud, in present tense. I would say I am, even though your friend, this invisible, compassionate friend of yours, or when you're thinking of me, I might say it in you. What I want you to state it as when you say it out loud is, I am doing my best. I am learning every time my child has a meltdown to do better. Now, remember, your brain's going to protest. It prefers familiarity over everything else. So it wants the familiar path, but you're paving something better and you're doing it intentional. And let's talk about the long-term payoff. When you become your own compassionate parenting coach, best friend, whatever you want to call it, you are decreasing your stress. Your brain is re-regulating faster. You model healthy self-talk for your kids. You unlock more connection and calm in your home. All of these things we want. But perhaps most importantly, you become a safe place for your child and yourself. And you get to learn and grow from every experience. When we beat ourselves up, when we're critical, we don't have access to our full prefrontal cortex because we're in fight or flight a lot of the time. So we want to relax ourselves so we can look at things with a clear mind. This is the real work of parenting, not perfect techniques, not flawless routines, but presence, compassion, and growth. So next time things go sideways, your toddler flings the spaghetti on the wall, your tween sighs dramatically, or your teen ghost texts you from their bedroom, pause and ask yourself 2 things. What would help my child in this moment? And what would my compassionate best friend or version of myself say to me right now? You know the answer. You've already got this. Now practice. Do the work to intentionally create those new neural pathways that fire and wire together. All right. We'll talk to you next time. Until then, do your little assignment so that you can implement what we've talked about today. And if you want to share it with me, tag me. I would love that. I'm mostly on Instagram, but you can tag me on Facebook, or sometimes I'm going to get better, but I've not been on TikTok very much lately, and YouTube, we're going to go there. So actually you could post it below this thing. I forgot. We're recording the video version of this for the first time. It's really imperfect video that doesn't have great background, that doesn't have great lighting. You can put it under here. So jump over to YouTube under Connect Method Parenting, follow, because that would be fun, and post how your assignment goes or that you're going to do it. I would love all of that. I'll respond to that. All right, you all, have an amazing rest of your day. Go connect with your kids in a deep, profound way. And we'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for listening, you all. If you are ready to learn more about Connect Method Parenting, if you've been listening to the podcast and you think, ooh, I'd love to be able to implement this in my life and with my parenting more, then check out Pivot. It's my 8-week program where we deep dive into learning and implementing Connect Method Parenting so that you can take this information and transform your parenting journey. Head over to connectmethodparenting.com to find out when the next group starts.